Hey, welcome. I see you fell for my peer pressure, but today we're going to be talking about deck building, and I'm going to be doing some swaps and upgrades for the next hour and a half. I'm going to be playing with my friends tonight, and I want to invite you to join me because my name's Victor, and this is Vibing with Victor. And right now, I'm going to take a moment and just invite the buddies. Thank you for joining me. We are doing just a little bit of chatting, hanging out, that kind of thing, and going through my cards. And if you have any questions or anything, you want to see something, I'll be happy to actually show you because we're going to spend a little bit of time going into these, and you have a little bit of the idea of how I build my decks. Now, I'm not the best deck builder in the world, but I have done about 15 to 20 of them so far, and I think that they kind of work out. And I've only been playing for about a year, so, obviously I'm going to make some mistakes, but, this is kind of, metal sharpening metal kind of thing. So if you have any questions or you want to join me or you want to, tell me how bad my deck building is, just hit me up in chat. I really appreciate it. Now, we're going to be going through a couple of my decks that I have right now. I have Xyris, the Withering Storm. I have a Lotho deck, and I have a couple of others that I'm going to be making some changes to. But I wanted to take a little bit of time and thank you for hanging out with me because I appreciate all your support and everything. So here, just a second, I was just finishing up our tags, and we're live right now. So if anyone has questions or you know how to stream a little bit better than I do, I also would appreciate running into you or picking your brain because I think it's kind of interesting. And I'm mostly doing it just because I'm doing it already, so I might as well just make a little bit of content along the way. Now I'm going to go live here, and I'm going to be sharing it with some of the buddies. So I appreciate it, but I'm trying to figure out how to do this notification when I go live without actually having to spend time and actually doing the thing. So I appreciate it. Let me go into it right now. And again, I'm sharing it with my buddies to see if they want to join in because we're going to be playing a little bit later today. And since we're playing, I'm going to show you kind of how we play and what might actually work for me might work for you also. So let's invite a couple of people. But yeah, we're just going to be going through a couple of our decks right now. Let's start with Xyris, the Withering Storm. You might have seen this one before. Salubrious Snail actually had this one out there. I'm not a very big streamer. I've only been doing this for a little bit of time. But Xyris, the Withering Storm, whenever you draw a card and it's not your draw step card, I make a snake. Now this is one of my most effective decks because it's very specific on how it actually works. But this deck specifically is trying to make snakes, and that's about it. But it's what you do with the snakes that are the big important thing. Now a lot of people actually build this and they use it as a pump, but I actually build it as a little bit of a burn because I have an impact tremors effect, and I'm going to be showing you my deck list also. So let's move over to my deck list. If you have any questions, you could also, like I said, just put them in chat. I'll be happy to talk to you about it. Hopefully the sound is good. If not, just ping me and I'll be happy to show you. So Withering Storm, again, all my decks are named after bands or music related. So on Architect, you can find me. I'm under Dancing Jacket. But we have Snake Jazz. Snake Jazz is a really simple one. We make snakes and that's about it. But it's funny what we do with the snakes. So we have some wheel effects. I actually turned all the draw down in this deck because the draw was too high. And usually you don't actually want to do that when you're playing the game. But specifically what I did with this is we're trying to power out our 5-mana commander as soon as we can. We want to protect him just a little bit, not very much. But also because we're powering them out so fast, we have so much ramp. We have 19 pieces of ramp inside this deck, and they're very specific ramps too. Because some of the ramps, like Ashnod's Altar or Cryptolic Rite, allows us to sacrifice or use our snakes for mana. It's pretty important because the snakes that we make are just 1/1 snakes, and usually what you want to do with this is you want to have an overrun effect. But specifically on this, they're coming in for impact tremors, and they're also sometimes in there for a mill. So I just wanted to give you a quick idea of what's going on. But specifically, that's what we're doing with this. So if anyone joins me, I appreciate it. But if not, I'm just going to narrate this because we're going to go along with it as we go. This is a really simple deck, but I'm going to give you an idea because in our first 5, and this is one thing that I picked up, and feel free to steal this from me. But when you actually build a deck, it's a good idea to goldfish it a lot. And one of the ways that I goldfish it, and I'm a little bit different about it, but what I like to do with the goldfish is I just do a quick, I just take a look at the top 5, and I see if that's doable without it. Because if you only have 5 cards in hand, you want to see if you can actually play that deck or not. And it's pretty specific because if you look at the first 5, and I stole this from playing poker. In poker, you want to just draw 1 card and see if you'll play that or not. But if you look at the first 5 of your hand instead of 7, you're going to see if this is even doable by itself. Now, just looking at this, I have a piece of ramp, and I have a piece of, I have a ramp, I have a land, and I have another piece of ramp. This is a doable hand even without going to the next 2. And then when I look at the next 2 cards, this means that this hand is even better. So this is a keepable hand, and that's how I actually do my goldfishing. It's a little bit different to have an idea that way, but it scores you a little bit higher on your mulligan rates, and you don't have to mulligan as much. I see that we just had someone join us in chat, and I appreciate that, but we're just going to be going through my Xyris deck here, and I'm going to make a couple of quick additions because I made some trades yesterday, and I wanted to go over some of those cards that I traded for, but I'm just getting ready to play a game later tonight with my friends. And again, since we're just doing a quick gold fishing thing, it's because I want to take a look at the top 5. Again, we're drawing 7 cards in Commander, but just with the top 5, I can tell you that this is a doable hand right here, and I'll keep this. But you see, I take the extra 2 cards. Now I have a piece of ramp, as well as I have a removal piece. But whenever I take a look at the top 5 cards right there, and I decide if I want to keep that hand or not, that gives me an idea if I'm hitting it or not with my mana. Now, the reason why I was going into that is because I wanted to show you my land count. I have 33 lands, and that might be incredibly sacrilegious for some of you out there. But again, because you have a mulligan, you kind of know what you're looking at, and you know where you're going with this. 33 lands isn't really a problem for me with this deck, especially because I'm seeing a lot of cards with this. And that's because Xyris by himself has card draw stapled to him. You got to get him out, and he runs. This is a tier 3 deck. Some would say that this even goes to tier 4, just so you have an idea. But I wanted to give you a quick rundown on that, just so you have an idea when I'm actually doing the deck building But we're going to go into my deck a little bit because there's 1 or 2 things that I actually want to think about replacing, and I'm going to show you what I traded for yesterday. Now, yesterday, again, I have a trade box. I don't have a trade binder. I do have a trade binder for the higher end stuff, but in my trade box, what I actually pulled out was a little bit different, and I tried to get some stuff, you know, just in general that I wanted to trade or think about bringing into different decks. But we're going to look at my Mardu deck today a little bit, so we're going to put the Mardu stuff to the side. But I also got some things that I thought were going to be pretty good for a trade binder. So I have a Taval Arbiter of Virtue, And this is a new card from Takir. It's 2, a black, a green, and a blue. It has flying. It's a legendary creature, Spirit Dragon. It's flying, lifelink. Spells you cast have dwell. Each card you exile from your graveyard while casting this pays 1. Now, whenever you cast a spell, you lose life equal to its mana value. It's completely broken because I've seen this thing power out very quickly, and it's a 6/6. So I just wanted to give you an idea of some of the stuff that I picked up on my trades yesterday. Because I have like an Eldrazi monument and it that betrays and it all is dust. But I'm not going to make a colorless deck right now, but I'm going to have those in my trade binder for later. This specifically is the card that we're going to be looking at for Xyris. And this one really stood out to me in the trade binder that the other guy had. But Whirlpool Warrior, it's 2, a blue, it's a creature merfolk warrior. When Whirlpool Warrior enters the battlefield, shuffle cards from your hand into your library, then draw that many cards. So right off the bat, I get a better hand right off the bat, so I have an idea. And I also have an ability on here that is not a tap, but it's a pay a red, sacrifice Whirlpool Warrior. Each player shuffles cards from his or her hand into his or her library and draws that many cards. That's incredibly good with the Xyris deck, specifically because this is a wheel effect stapled onto a creature. Now, my Xyris deck, I think, only has, let's take a quick look. And thank you for joining us. We had 4 people in chat, but I might have been too slow for some of them. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. So let's go over to our categories, and actually we'll go to type. And I only have 9 creatures in this deck, including Xyris. 10 including Xyris, and that's not a lot. So we're going to take a quick look on here, and we're going to see if we can remove any wheel effect and make it a little bit better by adding the Whirlpool Warrior. Now, looking at this, our mana curve is pretty specific, but our mana curve on this deck is a 2.73, so it's a fairly fast deck. Now, let's see here. We have Windfall, which is a wheel effect. Winds of Change, which is a wheel effect on for 1 mana. Magnus of the Wheel. This one has a delay on it. Jace's Arctivist. This one also has a delay, but it's repeatable. Force Fruition. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, they draw 7 cards. Yes, that's what it says. They draw 7 cards. I have a wheel stapled to a creature here. It's a 7 mana. It's a 5, a 2 red for a dragon wizard with flying, and when it does combat damage to a player, it will everyone wheels. Now I also have one of my favorite little niche cards, and this is one that I wanted to show you real quick. But I have Channeled Force, and Channeled Force is pretty fun because as an additional cost of this card, and it's for 2, a blue and a red, you discard as many cards as you want, and you can do direct damage to target creature or planeswalker, and target player will draw cards. Usually people want to draw cards, and I want to draw cards usually, but I weaponize the card draw in Xyris, and that's the reason why I do it. Now the Whirlpool Warrior, like I said, more than likely I want to put this wheel effect onto a creature that has a tap delay, or maybe something that I can't attack immediately. But I'm going to be slotting in the Whirlpool Warrior probably for Magnus of the Wheel, and we're going to just do that swap real quick. And the reason why we're doing that one is because this one comes in, it taps, you have to sacrifice, you have to pay for it, and it's a little bit slower. So we're going to move that one over to my sideboard for later. But yeah, we're going to put that Whirlpool Warrior in there, and it's a pretty good one. And I think it would make this deck a little bit faster. Now, that's a simple trade. That's a simple upgrade. But I just wanted to give you an idea how sometimes I actually look through it. One thing about my lands in here too, and I've been thinking about doing a land review. My lands in here, most of them do not come in tapped. So specifically, I'm trying to find the cards that don't come in tapped. But if they do come in tapped, I want at least a scry trigger on it. Again, especially in this kind of deck, you want to make things as quick and aggressive as possible. This is actually one of my fastest decks, and I can actually solo the table sometimes with this. Now, everything's also a little bit, the best way to think about it, this content in here, it's kind of an idea. This is not to brag, but this is to give you an idea how to build the deck itself. But you're supposed to be a little bit versatile, and just because you can put in your game plan doesn't mean that someone's not going to upset your game plan. And upsetting your game plan is a huge issue inside of this game. You have to be versatile. So let's take a quick look and see if we can find anything else for Xyris to put into this in general. And again, I appreciate you hanging out with me today. I have a couple of ritual effects that I was able to get. The rituals that I saw and I got were Seething Song. I think that this one is a fairly specific one. A lot of people have actually played this one before, but for 2 and a red, you can add 5 red to your mana pool, and this is at instant speed, so this allows a lot of acceleration real quick, and you are mana positive by 2. I also have Tempting Vengeance in here, which allows me to put a bunch of elemental creatures onto the field quickly, and when I also do that, I also mill out other people or burn them. One specifically in here that I was thinking about, and I haven't figured out how I'm going to play this one. Let me see if I can get it a little bit better for you. And I appreciate you hanging out with me. I'm trying to get up to 500 people right now on my YouTube, so thank you for joining me. This is Rousing Refrain. It's 3 and 2 red. Add red for each card in opponent's hand, and until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. Exile Rousing Refrain with 3 counters on it, so you get it back. So it also has a suspend cost on this. I was trying to figure out how I would actually play this one a little bit better, but I haven't figured it out yet. So we're going to put that on the maybe pile over here. Now, a lot of this stuff is actually talked about or done at a different time inside of gaming. Usually you're doing this, but I wanted to give you an idea of some of the back end, because some people actually need to know how to do these kind of upgrades and such. So I have Red Elemental Ballast. I was thinking about putting that into my red deck. I have a Mana Geyser, and I haven't decided if I want to be putting that into Xyris or not, because Mana Geyser is a very nice one, and everyone's done this one before, or probably seen it, unless you're incredibly casual. But it's 3, 2 red. Add a red mana to your mana pool for each tap land your opponents control. This can accelerate you very quickly, especially if you have a red deck. Now, I'm going to be putting this 2 Ishins as 1 into the trade binder for later, so we'll be putting it over here. And Xyris is a teamer deck, so that means he is a blue, a red, and green. Now, a couple of ones I was thinking about putting in here also is because we need to be able to fix our mana quickly is Spoils of Victory. This is a sorcery for 2 and a red, but you get to move a land directly onto the field, and this can be a plains, island, swamp, mountain, or forest, and put that card onto the battlefield. Again, this doesn't say tapped, and this is the important part to this, because this allows you to get your fetch lands. This is incredibly important when you start getting a little bit higher into your brackets, or you fix your mana base, because this allows you to get any land that has a basic land set, a basic land type, and you can actually put it onto the battlefield directly, fix not even just 1 land, but 2 lands, maybe even 3 lands with a Triumph. And this is slightly better than a Cultivate or a Kadamas Reach. So I'm thinking about moving that in. Again, a good target for that land would be, and again, we're not just going to be only reviewing lands today, but I wanted to give you an idea of some stuff that we want to look for. You want to find that land that has that basic land type in it and see if you even have a target for it. Now, specifically, what we're looking for with that one, let me see here. I'm going to show you. You've probably already seen it before, but you'd be looking for one like Thundering Falls, because this one not only has the two lands on it here, the island and mountain, but it also has a surveil, and that's incredibly powerful. This is a $30 land here right now, between $20 and $30. But not only do I fix my colors when I cast that spell, but I also get a surveil trigger. So you dig a little bit deeper into your deck and you know exactly what you want. And that's one thing that we're going to be moving the Spoils of Victory into this deck also. Now, going back to the deck, we have a couple of options in here to take out. Right now, the Enduring Vitality and the Crythalic Rite and the Ashnod Altars. I'm not going to be taking any of those out right now, because those allow my snakes that I build in my Xyris deck to become Mana Dorks. But one that I was thinking about removing is I was thinking about either removing the Patchwork Banner, which buffs all my snakes, or the Signet. I might be removing the Signet. I haven't decided yet. I also have Midnight Clock in here, which is one of my flex pieces right now. And Midnight Clock is an interesting one. I think I have it over here somewhere, but it's very simple. It's a mana rock for 2 in a blue. Tap, add blue, and then you can put 2. You can also pay 2 in a blue, put an hour counter on this artifact. At the beginning of each upkeep, put an hour counter onto this artifact. When the 12th hour counter is added to the artifact, shuffle your hand and your graveyard into your library and draw a new 7 cards. Exile this artifact. So this effect gives a little bit of recursion, allows me to see new hands, but again, I'm not trying to be the only one to see new hands in this deck. I want to force other people to see more hands. So I might be removing this for Spoils of Victory. Another one that I've thought about removing is actually Wayfarer's Bauble, and I do know that that's a one that a lot of people like to use. This is a good turn 1 play, but at the same time, it's not exactly the best use of the slot, I feel, or the Thought Vessel, because that only gives me colorless. A lot of the times I do want to have unlimited hand size, because again, since I'm in Xyris, I'm always drawing cards. So I'm going to remove the Midnight Clock. I'll move that over to our sideboard. And I really appreciate you coming in. It looks like someone actually had a statement in here, so let's go to it. Jonks, I think maybe cut one of the 3 mana rocks for it, as the commander is a 4 mana drop, right? I might be wrong on that, quite like Spoils of Victory. Actually, the commander on this is a 5 mana drop. And again, we're going to go back to Xyris for you, Jonks, but I appreciate you actually making a comment here. But Xyris is a 5 mana, and it's 2 colorless and then Teamer to get this guy out. That also means if he's killed, I don't know if this identifies or he or is him, but it's Xyris. It's a threat. That's what I identify all the time when I'm playing this deck. I identify as a threat. But this is a 5 mana drop, and I try to get him out either turn 3 or 4, and sometimes 5, depending on how much setup I want. And again, I don't try to power him out into not being protected, because it's going to cost me 7 to get this thing back out again. So I wanted to give you an idea. And thank you, Jonks, for actually that statement. Appreciate it. Feel free to like or subscribe, because I'm trying to get to 500 subscribers right now, and I'm about 9 away, so I would appreciate the support. So I'm going to look at my 3 mana rocks since you brought it up, Jonks, just so we have an idea. So let's go back to our 3 manas. So I'm probably going to be taking out this Midnight Clock. So we just moved it over to our... We're going to move the Midnight Clock over to our... where is it? We'll move it over to our sideboard. There we go. And then we'll be putting in the Spoils of Victory as our swap for that. And I also think that this might be a really good card, Yonks. So I really appreciate you agreeing with me on that. But we're going to put that one in also and remove the Midnight Clock. I got another Spoils Victory for a different deck that I might be working on, but I wanted to give you an idea. I have a couple more ritual effects, and here's the Impact Tremors, and this is one of the actual pieces that win inside this deck. Impact Tremor says, for 1 in a red, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, Impact Tremor deals 1 damage to each other opponent. This is a fun one because here specifically is what we're doing. We have not 1 Impact Tremors, not 2, but we actually have 3 effects in this deck. And we have Impact Tremors, and then we have Molten Gatekeeper, which is an artifact creature for 2 in a red that says the exact same thing as Impact Tremors. And it also has Unearth, so you can remove it from your graveyard and play it with Exile at the end step. And then we also have Witty Roastmaster, which is again the exact same thing as Impact Tremors. So we have redundancy built into this deck. So typically in a commander game, you're only going to see between 17 and 25 cards. So statistically, there's a good chance I'm going to see one of these cards in my deck. And again, I'm playing Xyris, so I'm going to see a lot of cards. Now, there's 3 different win cons inside this deck. One of them is burn, either by an Impact Tremors effect, an overrun, or I mill someone out. So specifically, we're going to go and look at the overruns. On our overruns, we have Beastmaster Ascension, we have Shared Animosity, we have Gaza, the Unstoppable Juggernaut, which is crazy. No one ever plays this. This is actually a worse Critterhoof Behemoth, I've been told. But Juggernauts you control, actually, we'll just read it real quick. Garza, Unstoppable Juggernaut, for 8 mana of any color. It's a legendary artifact creature. Juggernauts you control attack each combat if able. Juggernauts you control cannot be blocked by walls. Very specific, I'm not sure why. And then other creatures you control have base power and toughness 5/3 and are Juggernauts in addition to other creature types. This makes all my snakes into Juggernauts. So all of a sudden I drop this thing, all my snakes go from 1/1s to 5/3s, and they have to attack every single turn. So that's a very specific one, but I wanted to give you an idea because I have 1, 2, 3, and I think we have 4. Oh, here we go. 4 Preposterous Proportions. And I think there's 1 more in here, but I can't seem to find it at the time. But those are my overruns. Then we go into the mill, which is the other way of winning. And this is one of our 3rd win cons that we have inside this deck. We have the mill. We have the Altar of the Brood. So whenever a snake enters the battlefield or any permanent, but most likely a snake, we mill someone out. So especially in a wheel, we make 21 snakes. That's 21 mills. Because if we will, that means there's 7 draws per, usually per opponent, and that means 21 snakes enter the battlefield. That means 21 mills, which means, again, if you're new to Magic, 21 instances of people milling from their library into their graveyard. I also have Psychic Corrosion, which is kind of a backup to that. But whenever I draw a card, each opponent mills the top 2 cards into their graveyard. One thing that I want to go to, because this is WinCon like 3.5, I'd say in this deck. But WinCon 3.5 is Stoneforge Masterworks, which is just a simple one. Thank you all for hanging out with me today. We're just going to say thank you to the 8 or 9 more people that just joined us. Right now we have about 9 viewers. But WinCon number 3.5 right now is Stoneforge Masterworks. And this is an artifact. You pay 1 and it'll enter the battlefield, or 2 to equip it. And it just says very simply, equip creature gets +1/+1 for each other creature you control that shares a creature type with it. And that's pretty simple. we're making snakes. Xyris is a snake. He's a snake Leviathan. So Xyris, like we said, and we're just doing a quick little deck tech on one of my decks here. This allows Xyris to hit for how many snakes we have on the on the battlefield, which is usually a lot. So that gives you an idea of one of the ways that we win. And again, there's 3 main win cons inside of this deck with an added 0.5. And I want to say thank you to the 15 people that are watching us today, because again, I'm a little newer to the streaming side, but I have a couple hundred videos and I'm in the Seattle area and I appreciate it. So we're going to make those swaps. And so far, again, Yonks, thank you in chat. He encouraged me to put the Spoils of War in here. And we're also going to make the swap to Whirlpool Warrior. So I appreciate that very much. And thank you again. Please subscribe. And if you have any questions, Yonks, you can reach out to me and I'll send you a bundle of cards if you like. So that's pretty much the best ones I want to do. We might put a bolt bend sometime into this, or we might even do a deflecting SWAT. But again, I don't want to put the deflecting SWAT in because it's almost useless if Xyris is not on the field. And that's one thing that I have to think about, is like most of the time Xyris will be on the field, but what happens if Xyris is not on the field? That brings me to the second thing that I always think about when I'm building a deck, and that is, what is the floor and what is the ceiling of a card? So the floor is, what is the baseline thing that I'm always going to get? What's the baseline that I might get on my deck? And then the other side is, what's the ceiling and what's something a little bit better that I might get also. So specifically, what I think about when I'm looking at Xyris and what I can get, sorry, I'm going to move my ring light here. But with Xyris, the baseline, I get at least 3 snakes out there, maybe in a turn, and I have a couple of blockers, and I'm going to draw at least 3 cards. That's what I think about usually when I'm actually going to be making that. But one thing that I've noticed with Xyris is I do a little bit higher. So before we lose everyone today, I'm actually going to go to a different deck and we're going to work on that one. So we're going to go into my Mardu deck because Mardu got a lot of support recently in the new Dragon Tuck here. And I want to do a quick little rundown into that so we can do a quick little review. So Mardu is a fun one. That's red, white, and black. So we got a lot of impulse. We have also a little bit of we can set the law. We can actually have death triggers and such. And I want to bring you to my Mardu deck, which is very important to me. And it was the one that brought me back into Magic the Gathering. But this is my Caesar Legions Emperor deck. And I'm going to actually pull it up on my deck list on over here in Architect. And again, you can find me on Architect as Dancing Jacket. And if you're new to my channel or you haven't played with me before, all my decks are named after bands, and this is one of my favorites. So this is Machine Gun Kelly. It just kind of felt like it would work a little bit better. The working name for a while was Soldier Boy, but I went with Machine Gun Kelly. Now this one, very specifically, Caesar is a great Aristocrats deck, and it's also a very good go wide deck. Because whenever you attack, and let me read Caesar all the way out, but Caesar Legion's Emperor is 1 and then Mardu, so red, white, and black. But whenever you attack, you may sacrifice another creature, and when you do, you choose 2 of the following. You can make 2 1/1 red and white soldier tokens tapped and attacking. You have a Phyrexian Arena. You have a Phyrexian Arena stapled to this, so you can draw a card and lose a life. And then your third option, Caesar Legion's Loyalty deals damage equal to the number of creature tokens you control to target opponent. this is a very good burn. So specifically what I usually do is I run this once or twice. I draw a card or two. I kind of hit some people, try not to be too aggro, and then all of a sudden I shoot someone in the face for 30. Because this whole deck just makes dudes very quickly. I have a couple of upgrades I've been considering for this deck, and I'm going to go through them real quick for you. But let's see here. Let me pull it back to that. And again, I'm making these swaps because around 5 o'clock in Seattle, I'm going to be actually I'm going to be playing with my buddies. And if you're on right now, any of the guys, I appreciate you guys actually being on. And you already know all my strategies. So, here we are. But again, that's a Mardu commander. So we're looking for upgrades in the white, red, or black. And I'm going to show you this new one from Takir. But this is Windcraig Siege. It's 1 red and white. As this enchantment enters, choose Mardu or Jeskai. If you choose Mardu, if a creature attacking causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Jeskai, at the beginning of your upkeep, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. It gains life gain and haste until end of turn. Now, specifically, and I didn't tell you this, but the secret commander to a good Caesar deck is actually one that we traded for also. But the secret commander to a good Caesar deck is Ishin Two Heavens is 1. So very specifically, we're in a setup here. We make an attack, Caesar trigger, we get a second Caesar trigger because of Ishin. You have to sacrifice a second guy, but that's actually not that bad because, again, you're going to get double the triggers. So if you are going to at least see 2 cards, or you can blast someone for how many creature tokens you have, or you're going to make 4 dudes. So this is a very good effect. And then at the same time, now we have an enchantment that is also this, and this is redundancy that we're looking for inside of our deck. Now we're going to go over to our deck list and Caesar Commander Legion. And again, I don't write these out or anything like that, so I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me today. And it might sound like some rambling, but I want to give you an idea of what we're looking for here. So specifically in this deck, we have just a little bit of buff to the soldiers that we're making. So we again have a shared animosity. We have an enduring courage, so we have a little bit of haste. This also buffs our tokens that we make. So our 1/1s become 3/1s until end of turn. We also have a little bit of burn to this. So Arabella Abandoned Doll, whenever Arabella Abandoned Doll attacks, it deals X damage to each opponent and you gain X life, where X is the number of creatures you control with power less than 2. So this synergizes very well because, again, this is a white weenies deck almost. There's not a lot of creatures in here that have power more than 2. We have Ishin Two Heavens is 1, like I said, and we also have Stronic Resignator. And this is what I'm running currently right now as a second instance of Ishin. So I might be removing the Stronic Resonator for the Windcraig Siege, but the Windcraig Siege is our definite high value that we want to get into this. We have a little more redundancy drain with the Brutal Horde Chief. And then on the draw side, our draw is actually kind of light because, again, our draw is stapled to our commander. We have Phyrexian Arena stapled to our commander. So that's a very specific thing, and our land count is only at 34. And I appreciate you all joining me today. My name is Victor. This is Vibing with Victor. We're going over a couple of my decks, and I'm preparing actually for I'm preparing to play Commander tonight with my buddies around 5 or 5:30. So the chat will end around that time. But I'm going to show you our average mana cost is 2.88. And again, This is supposed to be my bracket 2 deck, and you can see this right up here, because if I actually hit the brackets in here, sorry, that's the wrong one here, but let's do the bracket deck, and it will actually say you're estimated in here. But again, you want the intent of the deck, so this actually hits around a 3. I compete usually on the 3 level, bracket 3 level with this deck, but I don't mind playing this against people that say, hey, I only have a pre-con. This is still pretty aggressive because this was a pre-con, but this is a fully optimized Caesar deck. The only thing about it is the lands are not fully decked out, but I do have a couple of good lands in here. And then also the other thing is I don't have any free spells, and I do not have Deflecting Swat. There's no game changers in this list, and there's also no tutors. So I think that this is a bracket 2 deck. I have Suture Priest in here, and again, since I'm making a lot of guys, this is a little bit of life gain. I don't have a ton of life gain, but I do have it attached to my Arabella, our Brutal Horde Chief, and the Suture Priest. The Suitor Priest might get cut one of these days, but it's also something that I can sacrifice to Caesar to get our guys out. One of my favorite pet cards, and anyone who might be that might know me, but one of my favorite pet cards is actually Orange Chant. And Orange Chant is 1 white. It's an instant. You can pay a kicker cost. Target player can't cast spells this turn. If this spell was kicked, creatures can't attack this turn either. This is white control at best. So not only do you have a silence effect on this, but you can also survive a crackback if you get this, if you do a full-on attack. So I was going to originally have silence in this, but I've replaced all my silences with Orange Chant. They're around the same amount of money, roughly, and Orange Chant right now is about $6 to $7, depending on the version you're looking at. Another one that I want to show you, this is actually one of my favorite cards also, is Moment of Silence. Moment of Silence is 1 white, and it's an instant. Target player skips his or her combat phase this turn. This is Orange Chant kicked, but it's only on the control side. It's 35 cents. No one plays it. I played it 3 times this weekend, and people are like, what the hell is that card? I've never seen that card before. It's just an easy one. We do have Boral's Charm in here just for a little bit of protection. As you can tell, I also do not like to run a lot of the Lightning Greaves or the Swiftfoot Boots. Specifically because I try to build so much redundancy into my deck that I don't try to protect only one piece. The exceptions to that, I do have Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots in Xyris, because Xyris is a 5 mana commander. I appreciate you all hanging out today. We got all the way up to 21 people on chat, and I'm in our stream today, and right now we're around 6, so I appreciate you hanging out. I know this one's not super exciting, but I wanted to go over it with you. One of the upgrades I was looking at for our Caesar deck, and this one's a little bit older, but this is Permanent Captain for 2 and a white. First strike, and it's a Kithkin soldier. Whenever Prominent Captain attacks, you may put a soldier creature card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. This is a 2 power and 2 toughness creature. Funny thing about this deck, almost everything is in this deck is a soldier or a human. Well, specifically, since it's a soldier, I get to cheat out another creature that's in my hand. So this right here is one of our upgrades that we have slotted for, again, our Caesar Legion's Emperor deck. So far we have on our upgrades, we have Windcraig Siege that we need to find a spot for, and Preeminent Captain. Another enchantment that I need to be moving into this, and again, this is a new one, but this is Thunder of Unity. This is again from Tarkir. Tarkir did a lot of upgrades to Mardu, and I really appreciate that. But Thunder of Unity, draw 2 cards, you lose 2 life. Okay, right off the bat, we have, that's a Signed in Blood effect. That's 3 mana. I get 2 cards right off the bat. I lose 2 life. Whatever. But this is where it gets better. Whenever a creature you control enters this turn, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And that's stapled to 2 and 3. So specifically what I'm thinking about doing with this card is I can replace one of my instants or my sorcery speed card draws, and I can be putting this in here. And also this has a little bit of drain effect to it. And again, we're building a deck that builds a lot of dudes very, very quickly. Soldiers, angels, whatever you want. And specifically, they come onto the battlefield fast. So I appreciate you all hanging out with me. We're doing a deck review right now and a little bit of upgrade for my Caesar Legions Emperor deck. And again, I'm getting ready to play with my buddies today. So I appreciate you all hanging out with me. I'm trying to get to 500 subscribers, so please give your boy a like if you would dare. And if not, I appreciate you just hanging out. So let's just go over another one in here. I have a Deflecting Palm. Now, I don't have a lot of decks that are Boros, so that have red and white. So I've been trying to figure out how I want to put the Deflecting Palm in this. So this is a possible, but Deflecting Palm, everyone's seen it before. And if you haven't, this might be your first time, but it's a red and a white. It's an instant. Next time a source of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent that damage. If damage is prevented this way, Deflecting Palm deals damage, that much damage, to that source's controller. This is incredibly good against a Voltron deck. You allow them to hit you, and then you do a Deflecting Palm. Or you move this, like let's say someone burns you directly for like 7 cards or something like that. Or this goes against my Xyris deck. Someone specifically hitting me directly. And again, this is not targeted. So if all of a sudden I take 15 life, I'm going to be able to redirect that to someone else. So I'm going to be putting it here. This is a little bit on the protection side. So I might move, this might be a cut, but at the same time, I don't have a lot of protection in Caesar. Now, again, like I said, I apologize if I seem to be rambling because I don't actually write these out. I don't script these. I'm just going live through my decks right now. One that I've been thinking about doing, and this is a fun one, but this is a maybe, a solid maybe. There's a sub-theme in this deck. It's Myriad. So Duke Older Vengrab, or however it is, 4, a red and a white, legendary creature, human, noble, soldier. Again, there's a soldier sub-theme as well as Myriad. At the beginning of combat of your turn, another target creature you control gains haste and Myriad until end of turn. And this is a 5/5. So this is on our upgrade slot, but that's on the higher end of my mana curve. And again, because this is such a very low to the ground deck, this is very high in my mana curve for this. One that I've been thinking about also, and this one is just different here. I don't know where I'm going to work it in. This is a cut right off the bat, but this is Caparati Sunborn. It's 2, a red and a white. And again, I'm totally butchering these names. I apologize for that. But it's a legendary human soldier. And whenever this thing attacks, you may tap 2 untapped artifacts and or creatures you control. If you do, discover 3. Again, since I know my curve is so low, I'm going to be hitting this all the time. Also, I do not have any tutors in this deck, so this allows me to discover, and discover is a slightly better cascade. So we're going to put that over here in our possible upgrades. And then every deck needs board wipes. I think I have 2 board wipes in this deck right now, but I want to show you Martial Coup. And Martial Coup is an X spell. So X, white, white, put X, 1/1 white soldier tokens into play. If X is 5 or more, destroy all other creatures. Now the reason why that's in there is because right off the bat, we get guys, we get a little bit of board control. And again, this also goes with our other board wipe, which is White Sun's Twilight, which is also under $2. But this is another X spell that's X, white, white. You gain X life, create X 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature tokens with toxic 1 and cannot block. If X is 5 or more, destroy all other creatures. So the board wipes, I try to make them asymmetrical, or I want them to be a little bit more beneficial to me in the event that I need them. I try to do sacrifice if possible, but also I do find that having some sort of board left over after a board wipe is a little bit better for me. So here's the 7 that I have right now slotted for upgrade. We're going to take a quick look through what we also traded yesterday, and we'll see if we can find any more in here. I don't do a 1-for-1 swap in my decks as I'm doing it, but I'm trying to find a specific piece that either synergizes very well or supplements well. Synergize is it just I do the thing again, and because I did the thing twice, it actually impacts it 4 times. Supplement is I did the thing, but I needed to do something else also. I have an Impact Tremors. I'm not going to run Impact Tremors on this. I've already decided. I have a couple of quick rituals for mana. Probably not. I've been thinking about putting in the Temp with Vengeance. And the reason why I'm thinking about putting in the Temp with Vengeance is, again, I need guys to sacrifice to Caesar very quickly. And I can do this very, very quickly. So Temp with Vengeance is another X spell. X and a red. Very low on curve. Tempting Offer. Put X 1/1 red elemental creature tokens with haste onto the battlefield. Each opponent may put the same amount with haste onto the battlefield. For each player who does, put X 1/1 red elemental creatures onto the battlefield. So if I pop this for 4, let's say, I get 4 right off the bat. You want 4? So I get 3 elementals. Do you want 3 elementals? If he or she takes 3 elementals, now I get 6. Same thing with the other one. Now I get 9, and then it'll end up with the high end of 12. At a minimum, I'm going to get 3 dudes. The 3 dudes are better than no dudes. And again, this doesn't go in with our soldier theme, but Caesar needs to sacrifice. We also have Seething Song, which is an instant that can add, for 2 and a red, can add 5 mana to our mana pool, and that would actually net us 5. A couple more rituals in here, and then we have Bolt Bend. Bolt Bend is not going to be going into this at all, because Bolt Bend is 3 and a red, and it's an instant, and it says this spell costs 3 less if you control a creature that is power 4 or greater. Change the target of a single spell or ability of a single target. Again, specifically, I'm not trying to always save 1 or 2 things. I'm trying to save the whole board, not just one piece of the board. And it says in here, 4 power or greater. This is a white weenies deck. There's almost nothing in here except Caesar that is a 4 power in this deck. One that I was really thinking about either putting in Xyris or in Caesar is Battle Hymn. And this is on the sideboard for both. But Battle Hymn is very specific. For 1 and a red, add red to your mana pool for each creature you control. This is amazing in token decks. This is amazing in a quick go wide strategy, because you could throw this out. You can have like 6 guys out there or something like that, and then you net 4 mana and you can do something incredibly explosive. And that actually leads to a different card that is very important to some people I know. But I'm going to show off a card real quick. And that's Dark Ritual. And Dark Ritual, and my friend got this graded, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Nathan. But this is a Dark Ritual, and that's a 1 black, and you get 3 black at instant speed. Specifically, the reason why this is so good, or a ritual effect like I was just showing you, is because you can do an explosive turn very quickly, and anyone that is, plays often will know how powerful these things are. But I also like staying power, and by staying power I mean mana rocks or having additional lands out there, because yes, it's good if you have an explosive play, you can make it quickly, but if not, you're just sitting there just hanging out. So let's just do a quick look through here. I'm just checking the stream here, seeing if there's anything else. We also have in here Dark Deal. Each player discards all cards in his or her hand and then draws that many -1. This is a wheel effect in black, and this is one of the few black wheels. I think there's 2 of them. But Dark Deal is incredibly good if you need to control the hand or you need to disrupt your opponent's hand. It often happens in my play group, someone has like 15-20 cards in hand, and maybe you need a Dark Deal or a Windfall to get rid of them. One that I've been thinking about putting into Caesar is Red Elemental Blast. And this is because it counters a target blue spell, or it can destroy a blue permanent. Often, my board is dying to a Psych Rift, or it's dying to some sort of blue board, blue state. And if I have a little bit of stuff I can do on the stack in Mardu, I would appreciate having that. All right, and then I have a couple of other things in here that I traded for yesterday. Locket of Yesterdays. I've been thinking about putting this in my Dragon's Approach deck because Locket of Yesterdays says it's an artifact. Spells you play cost 1 less to play for each card with the same name as that spell in your graveyard. I'm going to put this in my Dragon's Approach deck because I have Dragon's Approaches, so all my Dragon's Approaches become less. Also another one, and I don't know where I would put this, but this is a very nasty card. And again, not everyone is going to like it, but this is Grafted Exoskeleton, and this is just a dirty card. But it says, equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has Infect. That's wild, okay? Whenever it's unattached from a permanent, sacrifice that permanent. So it's just an interesting, nasty little card that I've been thinking about putting in to one of my decks. But at the same time, I want to have friends, and the best way to get rid of friends is by playing an Infect deck. So here's another one here that I've been thinking about putting into something, but I haven't figured out where to put it. But Cauldron of Haze. Choose any number of target creatures. For each of those creatures, gains persist until end of turn. This allows you to survive a board wipe. So not only do they die, but they come back, you get all the ETBs again. And ETBs enter the battlefield is usually something that you want. So I've been thinking about putting that into a deck. I have a couple of other ones in here. I don't know where I'm going to put it, but I have Goblin Sharpshooter I just picked up yesterday. Goblin Sharpshooter for 2 and a red. It's a creature goblin. Goblin Sharpshooter does not untap during your untap step. Whenever a creature dies, untap Goblin Sharpshooter. Tap Goblin Sharpshooter. It deals 1 damage to target creature or player. This is incredibly good, especially if you can attach it to a Basilisk Collar, because then it has Death Touch. So I just wanted to give you an idea of some of the other cards that I picked up in the trade, and then we're going to go back to making the swaps in the Caesar deck. So again, I appreciate you hanging out with me. My name is Victor. This is Vibing with Victor, and we're just doing upgrades to our Caesar Legion's Emperor deck here. And again, we're getting ready for Magic the Gathering night on Monday nights. Usually we get together around 5 p.m. and we were just texting back and forth, and I was like, you know what, I'll do a little bit of content because we're hanging out, and I think one or two of the buddies are on right now. So let's go into Caesar and we'll see what we want to move around. Again, since Caesar has card draw written stapled to it, I am going a little bit lower on the card draw side, and this is a bracket 2 deck that fights at a bracket 3 level, so I try to keep it on a little bit on the lower side. But we have a Read the Bones, a Phyrexian Arena, Morbid Opportunist, Braids of Risen Nightmare. This is not the new Braids that just got unbanned, but this is one of them. Caretaker's Talent, and Grimsome Realization. Now, I've been thinking about taking out the Grimsome Realization because it's 1 black, but it also has an option here, and this goes against other token decks out there. But you have choose 1, draw 2 cards and lose 2 life, or creatures your opponent control gain get -1/-1 until end of turn. That gets rid of a lot of other token decks because usually token decks stay really low to the ground and then they do some sort of overrun. This would go well against my Xyris deck because it kills all the snakes immediately. So one of the things I've been thinking about doing is I'm going to be going through and doing a quick look here. We have the Temple with Vengeance that makes dudes. We have Martial Coup that makes dudes. This guy we're going to leave out for now. That's the Discover guy. Maybe we'll put the Myriad guy in. We're going to try to get Deflecting Palm in. We'll do Thunder of Unity. Preeminent Captain is a maybe, but we definitely get Wind Surge, Windcrag Siege in. So let's go into our deck and we'll see if we can identify 7 swaps. So when I'm doing this swaps, and again, this is just basic content for people to figure out here. When I'm doing the swaps in here, I'm doing a quick look and I'm seeing if there's 7 things in here or 1 or 2 things in here that don't fit. Again, we're looking for synergies and not just one-off things that just stand there alone. Because again, we're only going to see typically in a commander game between 15 and 25 cards in a given game. And that's a lot of cards when you think about it. So that's 7 cards plus the initial one for draw for turn. That's 8. And then you're going to see typically between 5 and 10 turns after that, depending on how fast you're going. So we're not going to be seeing a ton of cards, but with that first 15 cards, we want to see how close we have an opportunity of actually pulling the card that we want. Now, Architect has a geometric calculator here, and it'll actually tell you what your percentages are. But let's just do this real quick. We're going to put it at least 3 lands, having drawn 1 card. We have a 56% chance of having 3 lands in our 7 cards plus 1. Now, if we just do with the 7 cards, that goes down to 45. And again, when I was telling you about my mulligans in the beginning, I draw 7 cards, I decide if that's a good hand or not, and then I see the extra. I draw 5 cards, I decide if that's a good hand or not, a workable hand or not, and then I add the last 2 cards. So then I know if I want to keep that hand or not. Now, what we see in here is we have a handful of things that stand alone by themselves. We have a drain effect, we have a burn effect by itself, and we have 2 anthems. We also have a life gain that's random, and we have 2 stacks pieces. Now, let's remove the stacks pieces because, again, this is a level 2 deck. This is a tier 2 deck. So we're going to remove one of them, which is Rest in Peace. So we'll go through and we'll find Rest in Peace in our thing here. And again, I appreciate you all for hanging out with me today. And I would really appreciate a subscribe or a like, because I've been trying to do more content, just hangout content. And I also have a bunch of shorts on my channel, and I also have longs like this. But let's take a quick look here. We're looking for that Rest in Peace. Take it out. And again, that's a stacks piece. So instead of the stacks piece, we're going to put in a board wipe. Let's put in that Marshall coup, because not only does it board wipe, but it also gives us a dude. And again, we want a dude. I don't know where it is. So maybe for the sake of the stream, we just put it to the side because we want to put in Marshall coup. So we'll just do a quick add to it right here. I don't think I have it in here already. So one thing that I've been thinking about with this deck is actually putting the Master Multiplied in here, but it went up quite a bit because of the whole Deadpool. Okay, so we'll put Marshall coup in. Then, let's see, so that gets rid of one of the stacks pieces. The other stacks piece we'll leave because it's a soldier. We might be putting in the cascading soldier in there instead, but we haven't decided yet. Now, let's take a quick look at the rest of them here. The Arabella, we might need that. And then I also like the Brutal Horde Chief. We might leave that. But let's get rid of the Suitor Priest, because the Suitor Priest, that's kind of on the line. Let's actually move on to, let's do the card draw right now. So let's put in, for the Read the Bones, we'll get rid of that. And we're going to put in the Thunder of Unity. Okay, so the Thunder Unity is in, and it's under card draw, but it also has a little bit of burn to it also. So the Thunder Unity is a decent piece. Now, let's see here. We're going to get rid of the Tenuous Truce, because the Tenuous Truce is a little bit of card draw, but not very much. And we're going to replacing it with another 2-drop. But we're going to do the Deflecting Palm. So with the Deflecting Palm, instead of getting the card draw, we're going to now have a little bit of defense. And then we might put the Tenuous Truce back in, but the Tenuous Truce says, I should have read that before, but at an opponent's end step, you enchant a player. At an opponent's end step, they draw a card and you draw a card. And if you attack each other or a planeswalker that they control, you sacrifice Tenuous Truce. So it's 1 card for 2 mana every end step of an opponent. Now, one in here that I was thinking about putting in, we have Monologue Tax in here instead of Smothering Tithe, because again, this is a bracket 2 deck, so there is no game changers in this. But if I wanted to upgrade this, I would put the Smothering Tithe in this. Let's see here. Let's take out the Heraldic Banner. And we're going to put in, let's put in the Tempt with Vengeance. And then we have 2 more here that we're kind of iffy on. One thing, and I didn't talk about this earlier, but I like my ramp and my mana source to be as close to 50 as possible when I add them both together. Right now I have 12 pieces of mana and I have 34 lands. That means my mana sources are 46 together. I would prefer to put in 2 more pieces of ramp to make that a little bit closer to where I'd like it to be. Because again, statistically, if we go down to our ramp section here, within the first 9 cards, or let's say 7 cards with our ramp, we have a 61% chance of drawing a piece of ramp in our opening hand. So with the 35 lands, the 34 lands, we have a 45% chance of having a land in it, and we also have a 61% chance of having a piece of ramp in it. And that's how you use those calculators. Now, I think that should do it about there today. If you guys have questions, this is just a quick little rundown. I appreciate the little bit of a hangout here, but I'm going to be wrapping up the final little swaps in these 2 decks. If you have questions or anything, you can just take a look at it again. And this was an upgrade, a quick little deck tech on my Caesar deck, Caesar Legion's Emperor, as well as my Xyris deck, the Withering Storm. Both of these are token centric, so I thought it was the easiest way to do that. And I appreciate you hanging out with me today. Again, I appreciate your support. Please like and subscribe. And I really appreciate it all. And I hope you have a fantastic day.